Hey everybody, how's it going? Okay, so hope you're having had a good weekend. I'm recording this over the weekend, so some of the stuff I may say may be a little dated, but anyway, as you know, I'll be going to Florida, but I'll still be working, so obviously I'll still be in communication with everybody, and I'll also be recording another lecture video for Friday. We don't have much time left. We obviously have, Monday we have two things due. We have the major assignment proposal. Like the minute thought maybe I would see more coming in already at this point. I mean, I know I get put a deadline at Monday night, but it's just a matter of just coming up with an idea. That's all. So as of Saturday, I had two. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit about that. Don't forget that the feature assignment is also due on Monday. Okay. And the rewrite for the megalomania assignment will be Wednesday. And then of course then of course there'll be a rewrite for the feature that'll be due on Tuesday, July 5th. So obviously not on a holiday. You have a holiday, and I'll probably have my lecture. I'll probably have two lectures next week, one on Tuesday and then one on Thursday, the last day. Okay. Anyway, so let's just go to the shared screen here and again just kind of like recap what's due. All right, so anyway, again, I have two samples for the major assignment proposal in there, but I'm actually going to show you the two samples that have come already for our class. This is from an older class. Now, in this video, I talk about the major assignment, your idea, and then of course I have an instructional video that probably be repetitive of what I say today, but it actually is to help guide you and show you how to actually develop the assignment. Okay, it's just a matter of just writing a longer assignment. That's really all. Okay. I'm also going to show you what inspired the megalomania assignment, the rewrite for which was Wednesday, and then don't forget the feature assignment is due today. So we have today, the major assignment proposals due, Monday. Today, feature assignment, okay. Wednesday, the rewrite for the megalomania assignment is due, okay. And then of course, Tuesday, July 5th, the rewrite for the feature assignment is due, okay. I didn't want to make it too close to the day of the major assignment, like the day before. Want you guys to have at least a day where you can just concentrate solely on that. So on Thursday, July 7th, the major assignment is due, but like I said, I need to approve your topic first. And next lecture, meaning this Friday, I'll be talking more about how to build it, okay? There is now an entry on Canvas for the rewrite for the feature assignment and also for the major assignment, okay? All right, let's talk about that a little bit, the major assignment proposal. Like I said, a couple people have actually submitted theirs. And I mean, like the best way to go is usually, like I said, is usually like maybe like a reaction story like this one. This is Jacob. This has been approved. I mean, right on the nose, right on the spot. This is an excellent topic. How do people feel about New Jersey legalizing recreational marijuana? I mean, how can you get more, simplistic and easier than that? Okay, that's, I mean, easier, whatever, more focused than that. All you need to do is just go out and interview people to get them to talk about it, okay? So when I've been asking people to do, as opposed to the typical 3 to 5 people interview for these types of reaction stories, is to interview 7 to 9, okay? All right, so it's just longer because, with a meaty subject like this that could go all over the place, and because, he's picking New Jersey as his focus group as opposed to Rutgers, he's probably gonna have a wider range of opinions, right? More perspectives. So you need probably 7, 9 people to do that. Okay. And then you should think of your lead along the lines of, again, noun, verb. Okay. Who is this about? The New Jersey residents. It's about their reaction. Okay. So, I mean, you could even almost, like I said, write like what they call a written outline, where you almost like write what you think may be the story, not putting words in people's mouths, but just think where you may think the story may be going. Okay. Ahead of time. So New Jersey residents say they like maybe this, depending on how your group of people come out. Okay, that's probably the best way to say is some New Jersey residents say they like, dislike, or have mixed opinions about legalization. Okay, marijuana. like I said, it's good to have like an idea and an angle. So basically you have your overall here, and then you kind of maybe provide some sort of general reason for why they feel the way they do, whether it's mixed like or dislike, saying maybe it's mixed. I mean, I think it's actually mostly alike, but with, I mean, that's, you can almost predict it sometimes, right? With some saying they're worried about impact on people, and others saying it's about freedom. Okay. You almost use your institutional knowledge. Doesn't necessarily have to turn out this way. Like a friend of mine once said, always allow yourself the opportunity to be surprised. So some general focus, and then this also could be, you also use an anecdotal lead for this if you wanted to start with one person's experience and then kind of bleed into what would be a nut graph right here. Okay. And then you want to like think of outlines here. This is a story that would have anecdotes. So maybe like you think of like family transitions, obviously. Okay. So some, you try to think of like, especially based on your reporting, which way people might be going. Okay. So some say marijuana, I mean, this is usually a typical argument. Marijuana is not nearly as harmful as alcohol and should be legal. Okay. Like I said, you're just kind of writing out an outline here, kind of guessing how things could be going here. Okay. An anecdote, maybe, you know, this is where you would put maybe an anecdote, one person's personal experience, perhaps, or maybe one person's feelings about it in general. I mean, if they don't actually, it's not actually a user themselves, they could say like, say they've seen the news and watched many people die in alcohol related crashes. I mean, it could, like I said, you could almost guess how this could be gonna go. And maybe a quote right here, okay? And then, you know, obviously, if this is a mixed opinion story, others, however, you want to go transition into the other side of the story, okay? So others, however, say marijuana is a gateway drug that leads to trouble. Just because I write this doesn't mean I agree with it, by the way, okay? Leads to trouble. You know, anecdote says they've seen people start, I'm just trying to define here, with a doobie and end up with heroin, not a reefer madness, right? And then you basically kind of follow that path as it goes along. You could talk about, if you're opposed to, you could talk about how like maybe you're worried about it, how it might have easier access to kids. It all depends a bit, again, how your reporting may turn out. But like I said, you can almost predict how it's going to go sometimes, you know, and write an outline, and that'll help you ask questions, you know, because you have some sort of maybe institutional knowledge about it. Okay. All right. So that's basically like, I mean, like I said, it's really just kind of like a simple approach, simple writing. I mean, it's just a longer story, really 800 to 1100 words. Okay. So just follow the same pattern you followed before. Okay. Some people actually had like more narrow topics. Korean pop group BTS announced their pause on group activities. I know there's a popular band or group. The news shocked many, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, if you know people who actually have like a certain passion for this, and it may sound like a much narrower topic than obviously marijuana legalization, but if you know that you're hopeful that that's something that people will talk about and write about, there's enough people who have some sort of perspective on it, then I feel like I can trust that you can go forward with it and find probably 7 or 9 people to talk about it. Again, like, you know, this one actually might even be a slam dunk in terms of like writing like an outline saying many people are upset about this. You know, many fans of the band are upset, or the group are upset because of, and then maybe some general reason why. And then you go to a transition and break down the reasons for why they feel the way they do, and like how this might impact their musical tastes or whatever, you know, loyalty to the group, and hope, maybe their hope that actually it could come back together. I mean, just as long as you can find 7 or 9 people who can react to that, that's fine. Okay. All right. So that's basically how, you know, we go about this story. Okay. You know, so anyway, I mean, I anticipate maybe some additional questions on this before my next lecture, so I can probably answer them. But that's basically how we follow this story. Okay. All right. So, like I said, the feature assignment is due. I've actually, like I said, passed around a sample of what I thought assignment that actually worked. Um, you know, and I demonstrated that last time. Okay, this is actually not in student view, so and some of this, I mean, this is going to be live on Monday. But anyway, if you actually look in the rewrite for the feature assignment and in the actual feature assignment itself, I added this. I added Jacob's story, which I talked about last. Oops, that's not it. It's this one. Jacob's story, which is already turned in. Thank you, Jacob. Again, the idea being here that like a story, a feature assignment really should be like something that's actually kind of focused on like, getting like into some small granular details about one person's experience and how it relates to the overall experience. I know weather again isn't the most exciting topic, but Kenji Demarest said the weather has been amazing. Hot weather, blah blah blah, allows him to immerse himself. He can do stuff, blah blah blah. But this is actually a mixed opinion story. So Wickerson said despite they've been experiencing heat waves, they're pleased with the temperatures being below 80 degrees, blah, blah, blah. So they've been going through the heat waves, but they've also been liking the kind of cooler temperatures. All right. So in this story, we basically have people who don't like the heat, and then we have people who like the cooler temperatures. All right. But there's a nut graph here that basically kind of identifies what this entire story is about. Okay. All right. So yes, so that's basically what's new with that. Let me leave the student view and go back. All right, so I actually don't have a ton to talk about in this lecture, but what I also wanted to do is actually again talk probably one last time about the Megalomania assignment, and I hope everybody gets that right. I mean, many people did, most people did actually. I appreciate that. You really, I mean, if you haven't gotten a hold of Bill by now, you should have. Okay, it was just really one simple email. But I'm going to help you guys if you're kind of still straggling there on the fence, and kind of show you where basically this story actually came from. Again, it's the story was actually made up. It was based on Dennis Kozlowski, former CEO of Tyco, and he actually, there's a few deviations from the actual Bronson story. In this particular case, he actually did go to prison. In this particular case, he actually did spend company money. So there is actually some deviations there. I mean, the idea here is that we didn't actually just repeat the same story that's already been done. We wanted you to actually just like kind of dig through it on your own. Okay. And that is really kind of definition of being a reporter, is to dig and to find out what's behind, the information that's just handed to you. Okay. Get as close to the truth as possible. Okay. So this is an old report. Late Morley Safer was the anchor person for it, the reporter, and this was actually taped in 2008. So anyway, let's watch, and then we'll actually you'll see one thing actually that's almost basically identical to what was actually in the report. Okay, and you'll see why they actually. I'll tell you, the party is what actually makes this the story. 60 Minutes wouldn't have written about this story if it was just a typical structural change. Okay, like some of you actually started your stories that way. I said you shouldn't, but because this guy did what he did and spent money on what he did, he becomes a 60 Minutes story. Okay.
A year ago or so, the air was thick with tales of corporate scandal, lost pension funds, big-time theft, and even bigger-time prison sentences for the Enron gang. Then there was Dennis Kozlowski, CEO of Tyco, who was found guilty of, in effect, using Tyco's immense financial resources for what the prosecution described as his own personal piggy bank. You might remember the $6,000 shower curtain and stealing over $100 million from the company. Well, we wondered how the man who could whistle up a corporate jet on a whim or throw a $2 million birthday party was doing in his reduced circumstances. What's it like to go from king of the world to prisoner number 05A4820, serving 8 to 25 years behind bars? Once again, Dennis Kozlowski.
I mean, right off the bat, talking about something that wasn't even the Megalomania, and that was the $6,000 shower curtain. So again, these outrageous expenses, it just deviates from what is a typical corporate change, okay? And that's why this is ended up on 60 Minutes and not in the bottom of best review, okay?
We caught up with Dennis Kozlowski at Mid-State Correctional Facility in upstate New York.
Okay.
Guests include murderers, drug dealers, and pedophiles, and the odd multimillionaire.
In my wildest imagination, when I would project myself into my late 50s and early 60s, where I would be or what I would be doing, if I make a list of 100 different places or 100 different things, here would never make that list.
He now earns $1 a day, mopping floors and slinging hash to his fellow inmates. In January, Kozlowski spent a week in hospital with a heart ailment and got to thinking. You've not talked publicly up till now. Why did you decide to do it?
When I was in the hospital in January, I was outside the emergency room feeling really uncomfortable, frightened. And that's when I really made the firm decision that I wanted to go through and talk to you at this time.
You became aware of your own mortality,
Very much so.
and you didn't want to leave this world
Without at least an opportunity to talk about my side of the story to the extent that I can talk about it.
He agreed to speak with one stipulation, that we would not include anyone else in this story. Because of an appeal, he'll not discuss the details of his case, but he will say,
I believe in the judicial system. I think all that works. But in this case, the jury got it wrong.
that jury convicted him of 22 counts of grand larceny, conspiracy, and securities fraud. His trials occurred in the wake of a white-collar crime wave and WorldCom and Martha Stewart. The news hound smelled blood, accused of looting his company of hundreds of millions of dollars and living the life of a pasha at stockholders' expense. He was the living, breathing version of Wall Street's Gordon Gekko.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Up to a point. What's puzzling is why does a man who struggled so hard, so effectively to make it, become so careless or stupid or arrogant? Born in a tenement on the wrong side of the tracks in Newark, New Jersey, Kozlowski worked his way through school.
I played guitar in a band. I worked in a pharmacy. I worked in a car wash. I had 2 or 3 jobs going at any given time.
Where you came from, there weren't that many options.
No. Growing up in Newark, New Jersey at the time, you never thought of yourself growing up to become a CEO.
He started at Tyco, then a small New Hampshire manufacturing company, as an accountant making $28,000 a year, and worked his way up to CEO. He became known as Deal-a-Day Dennis, constantly acquiring new companies and building Tyco from a $40 million company into a $40 billion conglomerate.
Would like to become, all things equal, a $100 billion company.
Wall Street could not get enough of the young, aggressive CEO. He also began making staggering amounts of money, among the top earning CEOs in the country.
We had a pay-for-performance culture at Tyco, so most of the money I earned was in the appreciation of Tyco stock.
1 year you made, I think, $170 million.
I'm not sure 170, but I made over 100 million. Yeah.
Well,
It's more money than
10 million
possibly.
here, 10
Exactly.
million there, who cares? But what's it like to earn that kind of money?
It's a way of keeping score, I guess.
Keeping score meant keeping up with the masters of the universe. $30 million to build a mansion in Boca Raton, acquiring homes in Nantucket and Colorado, and just loose change $16 million for Endeavor, a vintage yacht. Wealth meant one thing, social acceptance another. He and his second wife, Karen Mayo, spent millions on painting. He joined the board of the Whitney Museum. For a pied-à-terre in New York, he had Tyco buy a $19 million apartment and decorated it with $11 million worth of stuff. The poor kid from Newark was stepping out on Fifth Avenue. Would Dennis Kozlowski a few years ago even contemplate going to Europe to buy old master paintings?
No, absolutely not. It came with earning the amount of money I was earning at the time.
Was it your idea, or were you invited to join the board of the Whitney?
Oh, it was not my idea at all. I was invited to join the board, and I never made a board meeting.
So you were invited because they like having really rich guys on the board.
I assume it wasn't for my knowledge of art.
But it was art that would lead to his undoing. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office was investigating galleries that were helping customers avoid sales taxes. Kozlowski had purchased $13 million worth of paintings, including a Renoir and Monet, for the Tycho apartment. But prosecutors said he had some of them shipped to Tycho's offices in New Hampshire, a state without sales tax. They were then trucked back to New York. In 2002, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office indicted Kozlowski for evading over $1 million in sales tax, and he resigned as CEO. But that was only the beginning. The Tycho board investigated its CEO's behavior and made public a report that was devastating.
Here we go.
Kozlowski's excesses were revealed in excruciating detail. Decorations for the New York apartment became classic tabloid headlines, mocking the CEO's taste and his greed. The $50,000 doggy umbrella stand, and the ultimate symbol of his downfall, that $6,000 shower curtain. The coverage was really punishing.
That was horrible.
As overblown as the coverage may have been, you signed off on those.
I signed off on a decorator to decorate the Tycho apartment, and beyond that, that was my involvement. The first time I heard about that shower curtain, the first time was after I was out of the company, and I read about it in a newspaper, and I was calling around asking, "Where's the shower curtain?" But to this day, I wouldn't know it if it fell on me. So,
And here we go.
And then there was the 40th birthday party for Kozlowski's wife, Karen, in Sardinia. It was togas galore. A 4-day festival of flesh.
Let's rock.
Jimmy Buffett was flown in for the music, and guests were treated to a special cake, an anatomically correct woman with exploding breasts. The cost was over $2 million. Since Kozlowski claimed it was in part a work retreat, Tycho for the half the bill. Was it embarrassing for you though when they played that tape?
Oh,
There was this kind of Roman orgy going on.
horrible. It was over the top. I was taken aback by it, but I smiled and worked my way through it. Wanted the night to end as fast as I could.
Donald Trump called your behavior tacky.
Tacky. Tacky from Donald Trump?
From Donald Trump.
Oh, well, he would know.
Obviously, before he was president.
Those excesses may have been tacky, but tacky doesn't send you to jail. Far more serious was the allegation that Kozlowski literally stole money from Tycho.
So like I said, that was different. But yeah, that's right. I mean, tacky doesn't get you in jail, but on the other hand, it does actually create a headline. So, so basically, that's like majority of it there. But you can see that actually some of the stuff we had actually added in terms of the expenses and stuff like that, like the horrible dog fighting and all that stuff. But it's the kind of thing that actually does happen, and you know, well, I hear sometimes my own kids say like, write it off, like that's the world. Well, you know what? Maybe that's our job, is to keep exposing it, and then maybe someday there will be change. So, okay, so that's basically all I have actually this time. So like I said, in the next lecture, which will be Friday, I'll go over a little bit more on the building the story. You know, what I'll do is I'll pull out more of your samples and kind of help you along there. Look at different examples and how they could be built into, you know, 800 to 1100 word stories. And like I said, next week, because of July 4th being on Monday, I'll probably have a lecture on Tuesday and then a lecture on Thursday, and then we're done. Okay. So let me know if you have any questions and email me. All right. Thanks very much. And I will be talking to you.